But let's start off by talking about this match. This is why we're all so pissed off today and dropping a lot of comments. Saturday night, Philadelphia Union, FC Cincinnati on decision day. The Union start off. Let's go over with those lineups. First off, pretty much the usual. We'll talk about the controversial one. But Blake in goal, Wagner, Elliott, Glazes, Harry, your back line. Flock at the 6, your 2 shuttlers, McGlynn at the left, Quinn at the right. Gazak at the tip, Ua and Barribo as your 2 forwards. And we were pretty high to start off this match because in the second minute, Quinn Sullivan with, by the way, nice shot. That was a tough angle.
Beautiful shot.
Beautiful shot. Union go up early, 1-0. Now, depending on who you ask, probably the momentum shifter in this one comes early in the first half. Around the 10-minute mark, Daniel Gazak injures himself. You see Paul Rushing on attending to him on the field, and then a couple minutes later, he gets subbed out. So that's a big one, right? Like that's your leading goal scorer. That's the heart and beat of your attack. And boom, he's out 15 minutes into the match. You got to sub Daniel Jean-Jacques in the match. And you can clearly tell that was a momentum shifter. FC Cincinnati had a bevel of opportunities to get a goal. But in the 4th minute of injury time, Assad from his wing back spot gets the goal. And then the start of the second half, Renee.
Dun, dun, dun.
The nail in the coffin. And
Less than a minute.
Ironically enough, all-star for FC Cincinnati center back Jakub Glesnes gets the own goal. It's obviously, listen, we're going to bring it up. The fact that this season in San Jose, Costa Rica, started off with an own goal by Jakub Glesnes, and it ends in Chester, Pennsylvania with an own goal by Jakub Glesnes. And I hate to kill Jakub because it's
you can kill him.
It's a rough season for a lot of people on this team, right? And we're obviously going to dive deep into Jakub and this back line and all these players on this club. But the fact is, the season starts terribly with an own goal by Jakub Glesnes and ends with an own goal by Jakub Glesnes on decision day. Guys, this script couldn't be written perfectly for the Philadelphia Union haters. This is the way our season ends. Like that. And I think Todd on Twitter, dear friend of the show, Todd Lewis, the Free Kick Podcast, put it perfectly. That own goal exemplifies this season. Just bad luck, bad misfortunes, maybe 40 to 50% our fault as well. And we're talking about the Union missing the playoffs for the first time since 2007, since I started dating my wife.
I know. You're a whole married man now.
My whole relationship with my wife, we've been dealing with good Union soccer, and now we have to deal with no playoffs. And that's where we're at, guys.
That's wild when you put it in perspective.
A lot has blossomed in that time.
A lot has blossomed. Love is all in the air. Put a ring on it and everything.
Except for the Union.
February 20th, 2024 is when it all began. As we saw that own goal by Jakub Glesnes. And the Union did win that first leg, 3-2 despite that own goal. And then you fast forward to October 20th. Wait a minute. Wasn't the 20th on Saturday?
The
Saturday was the 19th.
I don't know what day it is, clearly.
My God, and exactly.
Exactly. That's actually kind of weird. That's actually kind of weird. Almost exactly months later, 8 months later, that you have Jakub Glesnes putting the nail in the coffin on the season. It just, in typical Philly sports fashion, it wouldn't be any other way. I always say, and this is one of the things I stand by, I hate losing more than anything. But why is it that it can't be an exciting down to the wire loss of both teams play well and the Philly team loses? Why is it that when Philly sports teams lose, they lose bad? They lose embarrassingly. And this is another example. Granted, they created a lot of chances, but you went from the excitement of Quinn Sullivan's goal in the opening 2 minutes to then a full swing of you gave up a stoppage time goal and you scored on yourself in the first minute, second half. So in a span of about, in game time, what is that, 4 or 5 minutes in between? You went from being up 1-0 and then you swung in a 5-minute span to be down 2-1, and the game-winning goal is off of the foot of your center back, passing it around your keeper. Not a deflection, not a hard fault. I'm clearing the ball out and I accidentally it hits off me wrong and goes in goal. A full-on Jack McGlynn blocks the first one. The deflection bounces back, a slow roller to Jakob Glesnes, and he physically just passes it right in the goal. Here you go, FC Cincinnati. Go win the game. This team has had so many games this season. So many games when you look back over the season. They were up first. They scored a goal or two. Then it swung and they gave up 1 goal, 2 goals. The tie to Austin 2-2. We remember the games early on that they had. It was a crazy, crazy season of squandering leads. The 3-2 loss to Seattle. The 2-2 tie to DC United. The 4-2 game. The 4-3 game against Cincinnati. So many games where the Union in the late parts gave up Montreal. 4-2 loss. Wasn't that a 2? They were up at one point in that game. This was back in June.
Yeah.
They were up 2-1 and ended up giving up 3 consecutive goals. Mm-hmm. When you look at this season, it was so many times of games where the offense actually was scoring. Mm-hmm. If you're scoring a goal or two, you're on average, you're not getting shut out. You're on average scoring a goal or two. Mathematically, you should be winning more games. Uh-huh. But instead, it's your own self-inflicted errors that are causing you to literally give away leads. And so many times, it's goals that you're giving up, not one. You're giving up 2 or 3 goals in like a 5-minute span. How?
I mean, like I said, it's a microcosm of different things, but what's super telling is if you guys actually look at the standings in the Eastern Conference and the way it ended.
Yeah.
So from 8 to 15, everyone finished the season with a minus in the goal differential, except the Philadelphia had a +7.
Pretty absurd.
And you look, you mentioned some of those matches. A lot of the matches that the Uni did lose, it was by 1 goal was the difference there. So like, and in these dying moments, the Union could not, and they've been clutch in years past, but they could not find a way to finish these matches. And that's a big difference. The amount, you probably, if you look at it, they probably dropped a total of 10 points, which would have put you around 7th in the Eastern Conference, around Red Bull, right below NYCFC.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean,
that's the thing, one of the best goal differential. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt. I mean, so many drop games this year. And, you know, like you guys are saying, if you had won 2 or 3 of them, you were in contention for the playoffs. You were right there, you know, and it's poetic almost that you go out the same way that you came in. And, you know, it is a microcosm of like what this season was. And it's just that there were so many squandered opportunities that were there for you. You had all of the power going into these final matches of the season to write something, to write your own name, to put yourself in the mix. All you had to do was win. And obviously the decision day, you know, you needed a couple things to help you out. But essentially, you had all the power to make the right decisions, to get yourself into a spot. And you do the exact same thing you did all season long. And I know we'll probably get into it more, but I'm happy it ended the way that it did. Because it rips the Band-Aid off. It allows us to look at this team for what it is. And that is that this team is not ready to compete in these cup games. They're not ready for the playoffs.
No.
And why go through another week of us ripping our hair out, biting our nails down to the bed,
having hope,
and getting destroyed by Inter Miami, you know, who we would have played, and sitting here like we are right now. At least now we get it over with. We're here. We can talk about what's going on, and hopefully the team can have some perspective and look inward on themselves and say, hey, you know, from the players to the coaches to the front office, we need to do something about this team.
Yeah.
Or we are going to fall hard.
And that's why I brought it up last week. Like, do the Union deserve to make the playoffs? And one of my arguments was like, if they do make the playoffs, this front office is going to rub it in everyone's face.
Yeah.
Oh, we made the playoffs again. This is success, right?
Gives them an excuse.
But we all saw it. Like, we all saw this. Like, this team was not good enough here. And Mike Thomas brings up a good point. Like, he talked about Julian Carranza bailing us out in a Saprissa match. Julian Carranza and Bruno Martinez, those type of players were big in a lot of these type of matches that we're talking about, losing by at least a goal there. And they never play. I mean,
there was no plan to replace them.
But was there, like, listen, Carranza and El Brujo for the past 2 seasons have constantly been linked to rumors of leaving Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And so there had to be in the back of your head, at some point you had to plan for it. The lack of preparation for these last couple seasons, it's astonishing. Like the fact that you're planned for health or with a congested schedule is to hope that everyone stays healthy. That's embarrassing.
Embarrassing.
You sit there and say that. But.
And I hope that you could have Union 2 players that can step up and be called up to help. And it's no knock on the Union 2 players, but you should not be expecting those young kids to be the replacements for the MLS level of talent when you have the international break, when you do have injuries. There was never a plan in place this entire season. It was extremely frustrating because, to your point, JP, all the rumors we've heard over the years, from Kai Wagner to Daniel Gazdag to Julian Carranza to Jose Martinez to all the way through, of guys that potentially would not be coming back to this team. And yes, they did bring in like a Sam Adeniran, and they brought in Danley Jean-Jacques, and yes, we got Ty Bariba, which in itself is frustrating to me, that it took Julian Carranza leaving to actually learn what we knew was that Ty Bariba was a fantastic player and someone that you can't even take off the field at this point. So to see all the different things that have played out, I agree. I know we talked about it prior to the Cincinnati game. Is it worth it for them to get in the playoffs for that experience, or is that experience going to be misleading and give them a reason to justify continuing to run it back with the same roster? Instead, they have to have that hard look, that harsh reality, looking in the.
We all silly like the mayor.